So today I'm going to talk to you about what good girls and boys do, sex, drugs, and other recruiting taboos. All right, just a little bit about who we are. We're a national consumer research firm. Here are some of the brands that we've worked with. And if you're lucky enough to visit our facility in Richmond, Virginia, during the summer months, you might be served lunch from our urban garden. So first, let me talk to you about why we're here at the QRCA. So our mission is to do as much good in the world and our community as we can by being very good at consumer research. So you'll see my coworker Sally and I, we've got these buttons on, and we really are trying to elevate the market research industry and our own community. So everything that we do, from approaching our work to being in our community, this theme of doing good is woven throughout. So as you guys know, first let's talk about recruiting. So who in here does their own recruiting? Raise your hand. Okay, great. And who in here works with national partners to do their recruiting for them? Perfect. So we used to be in that camp where we solely used national recruiting partners. Then we decided to branch out on our own and think about a different way of recruiting. Because as you know, it's not just that you have someone in the room, but the difference between someone who can be just fully qualified or exceptional. And we've had the people in the room that are fully qualified versus exceptional. And we want to bring the exceptional people to the table, to the conversation every single time. So we came up with the concept of a superstar. And the superstars are our community of participants. They are super engaged, they're articulate, they're creative, and best of all, they're the everyday consumer. So let's talk about how we find those superstars. We seek to grow our superstars organically throughout our community. So the good run way is that we partner with some of these organizations within the local Richmond, Virginia community. Shoot is a great one. They provide, we partner with the running community, which is a very strong, vibrant community, and they provide shoes to the homeless in the local area. We participated in the T-Rex run. And let me tell you, you cannot not smile if you're in one of those T-Rex suits. You're going to laugh and you're going to have a great time, and it's just a way to create our brand on campus. The SPCA, all of these are local great organizations to partner with. They're passionate supporters, and they really support our mission. So let's talk about why recruiting is such a PITA, right? You have to purchase lists. It has to be validated. You talk to a lot of people. There's a need to make multiple contacts. There are concerns with privacy. And in today's political climate, some of our segments aren't even willing to share their views or participate in studies because of fears that they may have. So you have these issues, and it also drives expense. Oops, hold on a second. Oh. Hold on. Here we go. So you have all of those things that are just a total PITA, right? And we have all these traditional recruiting rules and taboos. So traditionally, there's some rules that should never be broken. We've all heard them. Don't recruit through people you know. Don't recruit people who've participated in past studies. Don't post about your study to social media. Don't reveal too much about the topic of your study. And don't recruit those who have been in a competitive industry. We know those rules, but now we're going to talk about how to break them. So this is what good girls do. You leverage your connections to expand your pool of eligible respondents. You thoughtfully evaluate past participation and conflicts in studies. And you should have guardrails for breaking your rules. Let's dive a little bit deeper into how you grow your pool. So you should leverage your connections. It's okay to share with your child's teacher a potential study. It's even better if that teacher shares it with their network of fellow teachers. Leverage up your network to get the respondents that you need. What you're trying to accomplish is to just grow your pool of eligible respondents. You're still going to keep your impartiality when you're evaluating those respondents, but you just want your pool to be bigger. The bigger your pool, the stronger your respondents. Once again, you don't necessarily have to have someone who's just fully qualified. You want someone that is a superstar, that they're engaged and they're articulate, and they're going to really add that extra oomph to your study. And it is important to walk that line while leveraging impartiality, because you do want to make sure that you are respecting both your client's needs as well as your respondents' needs. Both of those worlds should be kept separate and confidential. So let's talk a little bit more about past participation and conflicts. So not all studies are equal. Participation in a 15-minute food testing isn't the same as a 3-hour co-creation session. So arm your recruiters. Your recruiters should be like mini moderators is how we view our recruiters. Recruiters are the mini moderators. We arm them with the tools to make judgments and assessments about who we should be including in studies. So let them know kind of your objective of your study as well as reviewing the screener, and so then they can really make those determinations if it's a recommendation for a fit or not. All right, I don't know about this clicker here. All right, let me go over to the laptop. So conversely, when you think about employment conflicts, someone who may have worked in the industry, in advertising or comparable industry within the past 10 years or so may not be a threat to your participation. So it's really important that you train your recruiters to know who to accept and who not to accept within a study. Let's dig a little bit deeper into past participation and conflicts. So if you're concerned about employment, always dig deeper, either from your phone interview, leveraging LinkedIn, looking on the internet. It's really important that your recruiters and your project managers understand who they're recommending for a study. They need to know what their role is within the organization and ensure there aren't any conflicts. And this results in a thoughtful and productive analysis, both for the project lead on the study as well as the client. So we've talked a little bit about breaking some of the rules, and now we want to share with you some of the guardrails that we have in place in terms of breaking those rules. So it's important that you understand your client needs and specs so that you can make those on-point recommendations for holds. The hold status is a great tool, both when you have doubts about a respondent, whether it's past participation, whether it's employment conflicts, whether it's integrity. When in doubt, we always hold them, we rescreen them, we have further conversation with that respondent. I've touched on this, but you should never break client confidentiality or respondent confidentiality. Both are important to have within a study to provide that proper balance. So who can tell me kind of the top ways that they may have of promoting their studies? Craigslist, great. Facebook, yep, wonderful. So we're going to share some of our top places where we currently promote studies. Nextdoor.com, it's a community website / app where it pulls people together based on their geographic location. It's a great place to advertise studies. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, we're going to talk in a little more in-depth about that. But once again, that's a great place to reach your target. Posting in local businesses, obviously your community, and lastly, all of the above. Leveraging all of these tools, in addition to your own community of respondents, are great ways to increase your reach within your target audience. So let's talk about using social media smartly. So times have changed, and as we know, everyone's connected. Everybody's got their phone with them, and they are tied into social media. I mean, look at the QRCA app, right? We're messaging potential people we want to meet with. We're posting pictures. I mean, people are connected. So it's the great thing about social media is that you can slice and dice your target multiple ways. In addition to the paid sponsored ads that you can purchase, there are pockets of groups based on specific opt-ins. That's impressive. Okay, so I don't know if there's a tugboat Facebook group, but we have found like fish tank owners in Richmond. So if there is a Facebook group for it, there's probably a segment out there. We've successfully leveraged Facebook to reach pregnant women geographically, athletes, there's child care worker Facebook groups. So if you name it, there's an affinity for it. How effective have you guys found social media to be? No. Good, great, wonderful. Glad to hear that you're using it and it's effective for you. So let's dive a little bit deeper into what works for us. Whether we're publishing online or we're on the street trying to get the word out about our study, we use descriptive images and words. We make sure it's time-bound. We include broad parameters about a study, and then a specific call to action. What's important to note is that we don't include a specific time, date, and place, because we don't want someone showing up for a study who's uninvited. So here are a couple of examples of recent studies that we did. These were flyers that we used both online and on the street. One was for a longer immersion session, and then the other one was for a co-creation workshop with a client. Both studies wanted creative, articulate, and food-savvy superstars. We marketed them both online and out in the community. And you'll notice that we included a QR code and a URL specific to each study, as well as key images to really draw the respondents in.
Do you actually use the code?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
How is it connected? How do you set that up?
So we have part of our survey platform. That's a response mechanism within the survey platform, and it generates that QR code for us. Yeah. So there are a couple of watch outs. We've learned some lessons along the way, and we wanted to share those with you. So make sure that you include language that anything you post is proprietary to your study and your facility. You don't want someone grabbing your content and trying to promote your study, whether it's for referrals or other things. You just want to make sure that you control that content. It's also important that you follow group rules and forums and guidelines. We all want to be good stewards within our community. We don't want to be viewed as internet trolls. And so it's really important that you follow those rules and guidelines for forums. If you're posting to a Facebook group and you're not familiar with it, make sure you read the admin page and learn a little bit more about what they're looking to do and what type of group it is online. So let's jump into some specific case studies and examples. So what do good girls and boys do? They go where the people are. We've conducted studies where we needed to speak to mobile detailing for auto care products. We've hosted pajama parties in hotels, and we've talked to professionals at their work about office products. We've also talked to teens in Alaska about drinking and drugs. So thinking about going online, we were looking to do a study in Denver. It was a mobile ethnography study, and we really wanted to speak to people who vacationed in Denver. We went to Instagram, we searched hashtag Denver, hashtag Colorado, and other key hotspots within the Denver area, and promoted the study online to really get to those people that had been to vacationed in Denver and could share their experiences with us. Another example is hardcore athletes in the Northeast. So we joined various Facebook groups focused on that athletic population. And then we talk to them about promoting our studies and learning their go-to athletic brands. And thinking about moms. Moms are a great segment to reach online because even though they're busy, they do seem to be very plugged in. So we've been able to talk to nursing moms, moms that shop at Walmart and Target, moms of team drivers, you name it. Next Door is a great place to reach moms, as well as targeting key Facebook groups, parenting groups, Real Housewife, neighborhood group organizations. All of these are great places to reach moms. So let's take it on the street a little bit. So we were looking to talk to rideshare drivers, and that was a very low incidence population to reach. What we found most effective was actually taking rideshare rides and pre-screening them on the go. And we had great conversations, and some we made friends for life, and others, you know, we sent them along their merry way. But it's a great way to reach your target audience on the street. Another example is that we had to conduct some on-the-ground competitive intelligence. We had a client that wanted to speak to very specific locations. We did pre-screen interviews right then and there at their place of employment on the go, and then if they were a fit, we invited them to participate in our focus group. And once again, that's a great point where you arm your recruiters with the information that they need, so they know the project objectives, and they also have a screener. So it's about knowing the objectives, knowing the type of person we're looking to get into the room, and then arming them with that screener so that they can have a productive, natural conversation. So unfortunately, not everyone is good. And sometimes you have to be armed to identify the bad boys. So we want people to participate in our studies, not only for the money, but because they want to be there and they want to share their thoughts and their opinions with us. So we have a couple of different types that we've identified. One is the only love you for your money, and then the repeat offenders, the scammers, the love you and leave you respondents. So a couple of things to mention here. Our screening interviews are very conversational. I've alluded to it, but your recruiter shouldn't hesitate to go off script and probe deeper. We do banish people from the kingdom of goodness. So if for some reason they've lied to us, whether it's about past participation, whether it's about usage, they show up late to studies, we will banish them from our database. And then once again, when in doubt, hold and consider. The hold status is a great option for leverage. And then you can have another recruiter follow up with a quality check call and make sure that you really feel like this person should be included in your groups. So here's another case study. We had a recent study where we were looking for tractor owners and users. We had a woman respond. She was the perfect respondent. She checked all the boxes. She answered the survey correctly. She owned several tractors, including the one we were looking for. But our sharp-eyed recruiter noticed that she seemed to have a suburban address. This was in another city across the country. She did some quick research online and then decided to rescreen her on the phone and perform a quality check. So we had another recruiter rescreen this woman, fully qualified, checked all the boxes. Once we rescreened her, it resulted in our fully qualified respondent actually hanging up on our recruiter when she couldn't keep the lie going. So when you can go off script and you understand who we're looking for, and our recruiters are trained to be mini moderators, they're neutral in their responses and they can probe deeper, you will find that some of our bad boys will actually drop off. So here are some top clues that your respondents may lack integrity. So they might call you back to clarify a response during screening. They could fill out a survey multiple times with different answers. They may proactively email you to participate in a study. Sometimes a respondent will say, what do you need me to say to get into the study? Sometimes they may call or email and say, have anything else for me? One of the top questions is, how much did you say this pays? And lastly, they view studies as part of their monthly income. So these are not the people that we want to recruit. Do you guys have any examples of bad boys or girls to share?
Yeah, I have a guy who I've interviewed 3 times for 3 separate projects from 3 separate recruiters, and he's used a different name every time. So every time he comes up on my screen, I sort of freak out a little bit because I wonder how he's doing it.
Yep.
But it's like he must have an agent to get himself booked.
That's a great point. I didn't touch on this in the presentation, but frequently we will have people that we have banished from our kingdom of goodness, but they will show up at our facility because they've been recruited by another recruiter. And that's, when you're verifying against name and you're screening out for email, at that point, when they are so false, there's really not a whole lot you can do. You can just kind of pay and send them at the door. But yeah, that's a challenge. They're definitely working the system.
I think sometimes people just kind of fall through the cracks a little bit. This is just a funny story. Very recently, over the past 2 weeks, I had to go to the same city 2 weeks in a row, and my second week there, someone walked in the door, sat right next to me, and I was like, "Oh, Anderson, I saw you last week," and that shouldn't have happened.
It should not have happened. That's right.
Screening criteria, even though it was a different project. So I think sometimes just keeping on top of making sure you're not duplicating when you have kind of a lot going on at one time, and maybe similar recruits.
Yep, that's a great point. And it's well within your right as qualies to ask for the past participation on your grid when you get them from your recruiting partner. So, if you have concerns, definitely, ask for what does that past participation look like, and based on your trust level, then you can choose to accept or decline that person.
To your point, Paula, I would add that we can do a better job with our screeners to help with that a little bit. We've found that a slight wording tweak to the past participation questions makes a world of difference. Instead of just saying, tell us about the past studies you've done, we have worded our questions in that arena so that it says, are you currently scheduled for, in addition to, because what often happens, we have encountered that and had to dismiss some people before fielding. What often happens is, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll say they're being honest about their past participation. Even if they're honest about their past participation at the time, if they get another call on a study, they may not flag that for you automatically. So just as you're writing screeners, if you write screeners, or someone does that for you, it's just a thing to think about, is including past participation as well as what are you scheduled for.
Another thing that we do is we ask, are you scheduled to participate here or elsewhere?
Yep.
Or have you participated here or elsewhere in whatever time frame we're talking about? Because they may not be aware, they may not think about wherever else, and chances are if you're in a larger market, they could be on multiple databases, either intentionally or unintentionally.
Yeah. That's a great
here or
point.
elsewhere.
Yep, I think here or elsewhere is a great cue for them, and then also, are you currently scheduled, are 2 great cues for screening them out.
And I think you'll recognize this because we've worked together, but because there are multiple facilities in the market, often if you ask the question, you will only know about your facility, you won't know about another one. So Sigma validation is a wonderful tool. Sigma is a database where you send in the name and the phone numbers of the respondents, and they'll run it through their database. But it's only helpful if everybody does it, because if only I do it in a certain market and nobody else does, then I can only see the ones that I've talked to, and I can eliminate them. But it doesn't help if the others don't participate. So Sigma validation is a really good tool if we use it. And
that's
it's
great.
very cost effective.
That's great. To know. We'll certainly research that. I mean, I think our overall goal here today, and as part of our mission, is to lift up the whole research community. So if everybody does it together, then you're really having a real big bang for your buck in terms of being able to weed out those bad boys and girls. Yeah, that's great.
Do you have more presentation? Or?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
Maybe you'll cover this. If you do, let me know. One of the things that's striking me, though, is most of us here don't really do our own recruit. We are just completely reliant upon the facility that uses our recruiters. Are you going to talk through recommendations about how to take this and work with people when we're not that involved in the recruit other than reading the spreadsheet?
I've got you.
Great.
Yep, I've got you. And if not, you can ask more questions. But yes, we're going to get to that. So let's talk about how do you test responses to ensure that they are truthful and valid. So we've talked a little bit about the quality control checks, rescreening, verifying online responses versus on the phone responses, making sure they're aligned, and then consolidating multiple records to weed out those that register under aliases, different emails, and so forth. So we've talked a little bit about our recruiters, and here are most of our recruiters and project managers. But I want to specifically call it out. So it's our people who make the difference. They're smart, they're well-trained, we provide continuous training, it's not a call center. They understand the project objectives, and the screener, and they have the commitment to do the right thing. So here are some tips and tricks for managing your recruiting projects. So I've shared some examples about how we've grown our database and community and how we tackle recruiting in the hopes that you can steal some of these ideas. But I do want to switch tracks and talk to specifically those who may be managing partners. I'm fortunate enough that I get to wear both hats. So sometimes I'm working with national partners managing a recruit and a project, and sometimes I'm working with our local project managers and recruiters for those projects. So what's most important is that you don't undervalue the recruiting process. The recruiting process is a great way to begin to get insight about kind of your project objectives. Make sure your attitude statements, as well as your articulation question, begin to push your respondents to think about your research topic. And remember, just because someone's fully qualified, they may not be the right person or the most articulate for this study. They might not have the right personality for the group. I'm sure you guys have all had those experiences where you had the one know-it-all in the group, or the one person that was so opinionated, he or she didn't let other people share their opinions. So during the screening process, it's a great time to weed out those people. It's also your first chance to get your respondents excited and engaged and excited about the study. So make sure that if you have homework, or other assignments, the pre-work that they may be doing, it's a great time for them to get to know you and to start to experience what's gonna be coming up for them as part of the groups. And then thinking about timing. So try to allow 2 weeks for recruiting or longer for low incidence targets. But what we've also noticed lately with some of our national recruiting partners is that they're not starting at the 2-week mark. They're actually waiting and starting later. And so it's well within your right to push them to start within 2 weeks, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure you have the right target in your room as well as a fully recruited group. And the better respondents may take more time to find, because we're not looking to just fill the spots, we're looking to fill them with the right people. And then one of the things that we do on a regular basis with all of our projects is that we schedule a kickoff call with whether it's our facility partner or with our recruiters. And that's when we're talking about the project objectives, we're reviewing the screener. And we really empower our recruiters to validate responses and hold those that may be a good fit. Just because they didn't, hit exactly right on an attitude statement, or they may be slightly off for something else, if they're articulate, they're engaged, and they're excited about participating, I would take that person any day over the person that is middle of the road all through the survey, all through the questionnaire. So just remember that your recruiters are trained to be mini moderators, and they should be trained to probe and respond in a neutral manner. So here's some more examples of what good girls and boys do, and especially what you should do if a recruit is going slower than expected. We want to leave you with some final thoughts as it relates to working with your external recruiters. So if it's moving slower than expected, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and refocus the target. Understand term rates and pain points. And really ask about how many respondents have been screened, how many have been pre-screened, where are people falling out. Really probe your recruiter to make sure that they are doing the diligence that they've needed. Just sending out one blast and not getting great response is not the diligence that we would expect for a study. I want to see multiple blasts. I want to understand how many people have been targeted, what the response rate is looking like, and then I want to know more about what else are we doing. Are we offering referral bonuses? Referrals are a great way to push you into that next level for a fully recruited study. I want to know what marketing efforts are going on. Really push your recruiters to understand what they're doing. Do they need to pull in a partner recruiter to assist them? I mean, that's not an optimal situation. It doesn't feel good when it happens, but if that's what you need to do, sometimes that's what you need to do. So really just understand where they're at. And then your partners. So you do want to brainstorm. You want to share tactics, share some of these tactics, share other tactics that may work for you. Because at the end of the day, you do have a shared goal, and that shared goal is a fully recruited study delivered on time with really qualified respondents. So feel free to take these tactics and strategies and begin building your own community of superstars, or at the very least, start to leverage some of these ideas when you partner with your external recruiters. We're all stronger and better if we lift up the market research industry as a collective group and try to do as much good as we possibly can. So, any questions? Yep. Great.
Hi there, it's Janet. I have a
Hi,
question.
Janet.
When you're moderating, even a mini group, and you realise, 20 minutes in, that one of the people in the group, you feel like maybe they came into the wrong room and that
Yes.
they fit that badly.
Yep.
I'm always struggling to know how does, should I literally just say, I'm realising that you've accidentally come into the wrong group, But how do you get rid of somebody without upsetting everybody else and making them feel like that person did something wrong? And any
Yep.
clues?
So that's a great question. So one of the things that we will do is we do have our moderator as well as a strategist on site for most of our groups. We will quickly say, hey, Janet, would you mind coming with me? And then tell the group, folks, I'll be right back. Walk Janet outside, say, Janet, thanks so much for coming today. It was great to get to know you. You're our lucky winner. We're going to pay you and send you on your way. It's your lucky day. So it's a great way to, in a kind way, pull someone out. The rest of the group doesn't know what's going on. And they're the lucky winner, right? They get time and money.
I saw a piece of research, I can't remember when, maybe last conference, about what it's like to be a respondent. And one of the things that was mentioned by them was that, you then spend your whole time thinking, what did they say or do wrong? And am I next?
Am I next?
And I'm just trying to think how
Yep.
it feels for the other. Any thoughts on how to do it in a way that
Well, so
seems like it's, that maybe they've got to have a telephone call or something come in, like it's nothing to do with the group, or...
Well, one other tactic that we use, this is not specific to your example, but in the lobby, our moderators always come out and greet our respondents. We say, hey, if I was the moderator, hey, how are you? Great to see you. Thanks for coming. Keep your cell phones off. We're super excited to talk to you. We're going to be talking about, cleaning products today or whatever. It's a very casual, informal way. And it's also a great way to gauge people's energy. And if you feel like they might be off, it's a great time to pay and send them as well. And definitely rely on your facility staff. So when you go into a facility, you can say, hey, this is who we're looking for. We've got 12 people coming. I'm really looking to seat 10. let me know who your recommendations are that you think we should cut from the group. They may not have an opinion, but you never know. They might very well have a strong opinion about who they should pay and send.
Karen, we have a pretty good trick for doing that. First of all, that's one of the things I cover right off the bat in the introductions is people watching us, one of their jobs is to make sure if we're hearing too many voices, that we might just have to randomly pull someone out.
Oh, that's great. I love that. Yep.
And then my staff will hand me a cup full of everyone's name, and they all say Karen. And I say, no, this is totally random. I'm just going to pick one out. Look at that.
I love it.
Karen,
It's great.
congratulations.
Yeah. And I get time and money. It's better. Yeah. That's great.
It's a great trick.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question about the contact that you guys have traditionally with respondents, because as a moderator, I'm getting a list of 8 people's names. I may go say hello, I'll ask you guys in the lobby, but the only communication they've gotten about this study is from you.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't happen so often in facility, but when we're in context, home, store, wherever, they'll say things like, oh, I didn't know I was going to be the only one. Or, oh, you want to come into my house? Mm-hmm. Or, you know, they followed up with me 17 times to tell me about this. So I'm starting at a deficit.
Yep.
Because I'm having to apologize for the lack of communication, clarify, and confirm they're still interested and willing. And if they are, they're not as interested and willing as they were when they thought they knew what was going on. So I now have to dig myself out of a hole, conversation-wise, because whatever was supposed to be passed on didn't get passed on. So what is your best practice? It doesn't sound like this happens with your group.
Yeah, but what we do with external partners and internal for that matter, our screeners are very detailed. So we have specific language. We're looking to talk to, a couple of people in their homes about this, and it'll take about 2 hours, and we'll have a videographer. Would you be open to that? Yes or no? And then, so we ask that as part of the screening criteria within the screener, and then our confirmation language, which we provide to the facilities. I mean, I know they have their own, but we're still going to tell them this is what needs to be communicated, and we'll specifically call out, a team of 3 to 4 people with a videographer will be coming. There's no need to clean your house. We want to see you as you are. We've been in all sorts of places and situations, and we're just really looking to get to know you. And then in some cases, we'll even outline, how we believe the interview will go. We won't give them a discussion guide, but we'll share high level, like, we're going to spend 15 minutes talking to get to know you and your family and seeing where you store your Tupperware. And then we're going to spend, another 30 minutes talking about how you use your Tupperware and where you put it and all the things about Tupperware. So trying to be as explicit as possible in the screener. It may not always translate to the respondent, but at least you've communicated to the recruiter. You've talked about it in your kickoff call with your project manager, and it's in the screener, so hopefully the recruiter will see it and be able to clearly articulate what you're trying to accomplish.
And then what you're doing the last part, just because this is the part that drives me crazy, is the frequency with which they're being followed up with. And it's almost always a phone call, circa 1990 or 1992.
Yep.
And that drives especially millennial and some young Gen X people absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And just what is your thought around frequency, timing of those? Because I know they're important, the reminders, but I just feel like there could be more strategic about when they happen.
Well, so we do kind of a triple confirmation. So we confirm them once on the phone. Then we send them an email confirmation, and they have to confirm that they're in, and then prior to groups or in homes or what have you, they confirm yet again. But we do use email, we use phone, we use texting. We don't do all 3 at the same time, but we try to meet them where they're coming from. So if they respond to text, we've got them. People don't answer their phone if they don't recognize the number. So odds are you're not even going to get through for that, first of all, for the screening call, and secondly, for a confirmation call, unless they know who you're calling from. So, yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
So I'm sure a lot of you have to handle some really difficult recruits. And one time we had to recruit LGBT individuals in India when it was illegal to be gay in India.
Wow.
So I'm curious, what are some creative ways that you and your team would tackle something like that?
So that's that could be tricky. I would definitely look to see if there are key organizations where, if you can find pockets of people who have opted in. So, if there's an underground LGBT organization in India, can you partner with them? And that's really where referrals are going to get you a long way, because they're going to know more people like them. And that's probably your best bet.
So I've got two questions. Quick, I was going to follow up on his question. Do you ever partner with your clients on their ideas of how to find people? So because someone who might be looking for that sort of audience might already have an interest in that kind of audience.
Definitely. We always, if it's a really niche target, we'll see if there's a client list or some sort of tool that they can arm us with. We're doing a recent study, we're doing a test on a product that a lot of people have. So we said, as part of this, can we send the product to the respondents, let them use it for 2 weeks so they'll have valid feedback. It's a lot easier to do that than to try to find a needle in a haystack.
Okay, my second question was on what's your perspective on the length of time that's appropriate between when they last might have done a study and participating in your study now?
Well, so industry standard is 3 months, but it really depends on what they participated in and what the other study is. So if they did a 15-minute food taste testing study, we're not going to hold that really as past participation if we're looking to do a 2-hour focus group on financial services. It really depends on kind of the industry, the duration of the study, and kind of what was covered as part of that discussion.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
So you said the recruiters are kind of like mini moderators.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hire a recruiter, are there specific unique skills or background that you look for in a recruiter?
I think they need to be curious and comfortable having conversations with people. So as long as they can talk to people and ask questions, we can train them to be neutral. They have to have strong attention to detail. We want to have our grids look tight, and so when they're putting information on grids, we need to use the same naming convention and so forth, but really just being able to talk to people and develop a rapport. I will say that our recruiters, if you tell a recruiter, hey, I'm sorry I can't participate, my dad's going to have surgery, if she sees your name 2 months from now on another survey and she goes to call you, she might remember, how's your dad doing? So we really develop a community and really know each other in terms of bringing that human touch to the conversation. We've armed them with the tools to make those decisions about who we should include and not include in the groups, and we really want to bring that human touch.
Hi.
Hi.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
We're trying to move some of our clients away from demographic-based recruiting towards behavior recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on that a little bit, but I'm curious if any of the techniques change when you're moving things in that direction. And the part two is it important nowadays to have an equal male-female split, or is the behavior more important?
Well, I think it depends on your study. I got so much I want to tell you about this, but it depends on your study topic. We try not to have less than 2 men in a group. It seems like we always have a lot of women, but you never want someone to feel like they're the only one, that they're only person representing that perspective. So, male-female split is important if that's your goal. And then in terms of attitudinal statements, sometimes we had a study recently where we were looking for really creative people. So we structured it as a two-phase study. It wasn't a two-phase study, but from a respondent's perspective, it was a two-phase study. And phase one was you did your typical screening criteria, and then we had them submit a homework assignment. And then based on their homework assignment, we paid them a nominal incentive of like $25. And then based on their homework assignment, we selected the best to be picked for the focus group. And so that really gave us a sense of who they were, what they were thinking about, how engaged they were going to be in the study. And then we, So we had 30 that responded to that, and then we picked 15 for our groups out of the 30. So.
Thank you. I wanted to respond to something, the things that you talked about, because I can understand how frustrating it can be. One has to do with showing up at the door and them saying, you know, why are you here, or why are you all here? What we do, and certainly recommend for our people, is to actually call the person before you go. Introduce yourself, let them know who's going to be there, what the process is, similar to what you're talking about.
That's a great point. I didn't mention that, but our moderators do that as well. That's a great point.
They already know you at that point. So you're walking in, you may send them a picture. These are the people who are going to be here to help them feel more comfortable. The other thing is recognizing how differently we all communicate. Ask the respondents how they want to be reminded. You know, and that's what we do for facilities. That's what we do. We tell people when we're recruiting going elsewhere, find out how they want to be communicated, and then we do it that way. So that should help alleviate some of that, I hope.
And I feel like a lot of the recruiters don't ask that question, and that puts more onus on the moderator to do that. I also don't know how many of them are using text, which of course is the answer to millennial Gen Xers is to use text, but I don't know how pervasive. That's the first time you're the first person who's ever told me they communicated with people via text. So that was the answer I was looking for. And
That's right.
I think the question mark there, though, is, are you working with a recruiter who has the capability / willingness to send out a text reminder? And that's just part of what we need to start asking our partners. That's all.
Yeah.
You know. Thank you.
Oh, question over there. Paula, question over there. Yep.
I'm sorry if you already covered this because I came in a little bit late, but do you think it helps to tell recruited participants who the moderator is going to be? So
Yes.
Name, last name. I do that for B2B studies.
Yep. We frequently, yes.
I want them to look me up on LinkedIn. I want them to be comfortable with me. And a lot of times your B2B person is kind of like not a experienced researcher. So, but just for regular consumers, any value or?
We do. We include that. So we include that as part of our screener confirmation language. So you'll be, you know, when we talk about what to expect, we'll say, you know, arrive 15 minutes early, bring your glasses if you need glasses, your driver's license. You'll be chatting with our moderator, Jess, and you know it'll take about 2 minutes of your time. 2 hours of your time. In addition, we'll have snacks and drinks for you, or if they're getting a meal, we'll tell them they're getting a meal. So we really do try to articulate for them exactly what to expect, because if they're prepared, they know what to expect, the sessions will go smoothly. And we also end on time to be respectful of their time as well. Oh, Sal.
So many great questions, and I love the way everybody's kind of helping each other. That's what we're here for, right? One thing I just wanted to add is I think if we want our respondents to be genuine with us, we have to start by being authentic with them.
Hi, so we have facilities and we do recruiting, and I just want to piggyback on what his question was before as far as getting involved. As a moderator, I think what we typically do is we do quality assurance, we re-screen our respondents, but then as a moderator to be more involved, you can also send your own re-screener in so you know the process. You can send it to the facility, and then you are more involved, you know what they're asking, and you can just kind of take it from there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned the 2-week ideal, right?
Yes.
For recruiting. My experience has been is if the recruit isn't going well, the closer you get, the more pressure is put on the recruiters and things like that, and the more likely that I'm going to have a really terrible set of respondents. Like when you push down on recruiters and say you have to get this done, they somehow find people. And I don't know where they find them. Do you have any recommendations for that last push to get those last few seats without giving up the quality of
Sure.
people that we end up.
Yep. I think that's when you go to some of the tricks in the bag. Are they putting up flyers? If this is a gym study or a health study, are they putting up flyers at local gyms? Are they posting on social media? Where are they posting? I mean, really dig in and understand what they're doing to get those qualified respondents, because you don't want to completely give up quality to fill a spot. You rather have 4 good people than 8 mediocre, but you also have client expectations that are squeezing you and providing pressure as well. And sometimes if you have to pull in a partner recruiter, they might have to pull in a partner recruiter. I mean, that's not the ideal situation, because recruiting is like a snowball, and the 2 weeks is important because as you go, the snowball gathers speed and momentum, and that's when you start to really get your good people. So widening your pool as much as possible in the beginning of the process will help you downstream as you're gathering that momentum with your big snowball.
Yeah, I just wanted to add from the recruiter's perspective, the screener always has in big bold letters, do not talk about this, client topic. But if there, I just ask that you consider what you could talk about, what you could disclose, because remember, these are just people off the street. Everyone's scamming them all the time. They're getting spam calls about this and that. The more information we can offer, obviously, if you can't disclose the client, you can't disclose the client, but just a generic discussion, here's what we're going to talk about, here's what you can expect. The recruiters don't always know exactly what you're digging into. And it's really helpful just to start that dialogue, because we lose a lot of people just on the freak out factor.
Yeah.
I have a question that piggybacks on your question. That is, how often should we be provided with an update matrix? Because when I work on projects and I have a client going, I need an update, I need an update, I need the profiles, and that's when this sort of crunch happens, because like you said, it is a snowball effect, and it sort of really does come down to the last few days to get that matrix nice and clean. What do you do when you have a lot of pressure to update every couple of days?
Well, so in your kickoff call that everybody's going to start holding, and you're talking about project objectives, and you're reviewing the screener, and you're going to say, when can I expect my first update? And they're going to say, okay, typically, it's 3 days after you kick off. And then you should expect an update every day thereafter. Or, if it's every other day, just set those parameters early. Once again, just like we want to do for our respondents, understand what those expectations are. And then as moderators and project managers, we'll all feel more comfortable with where the recruit's at, or where the current progress is. And then we'll, and have an open conversation. Are you concerned about where we are? I'm always, my famous phrase in the office is, it's all good until it's not. So when I say it's not all good, that means it's not all good. So, and as a project manager, we're going to share that with our clients, or we'll say we're struggling. Can you relax specs? We're seeing a lot of people fall out at income, or can we unblind a study? What can we do so that we have the right people in the room, because we want everyone to have a successful experience.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I just wanted to mention, I have a lot of boutique clients, and sometimes there's not time or budget for broader scale studies. When I do have the budget, I like to go to my trusted partners.
Yep.
Plugging consumer centers. We do a lot of work together. But I've been in a situation where, I needed to do some in-home studies, and I've called on really, honestly close friends who I know are very social, and I put together studies at their homes, and the one condition is that, they recruit people that I don't know, but they fit the bill, and we have a really good gig going. I've done it in New York, Connecticut, Chicago, and across pet food, ice cream, barbecue, and these are people I've known for a very long time, and I know that they have a wide circle of very interesting people, and the condition is that they really let me do my thing, and they're not involved, and pay everybody fairly, and I screen them, and it's worked out really well for me, and we're still friends. And I was nervous about doing it for professional reasons.
Yeah.
Yes, and because it's in someone's home, they're probably not getting an incentive as much as if we had to recruit, publicly. But, you know, it's worked out really well where I just have to get some good learning, you know, broad scale learning. And the client was very happy. In one case, the client even came and we videotaped. So, you know, it was a little off the beaten track, but I don't do it all the time, but it worked out.
Well, and it sounds very similar. I mean, that was how we first started our superstar community. It was people that we met across the country as we were traveling. You know, the talkative person in the coffee line at the airport, that became our superstar, and then that superstar introduced us to their friends. So it sounds like you are well on your way to creating your own community. Yes, that's great.
I want to do a quick mini survey. I work for the federal government, and you would be very sad to hear the restrictions we have around paying incentives. So I'm just very curious. Are people, what's the average amount you would pay for a 1 hour face-to-face conversation? If the average is less than $70, please raise your hand.
One-on-one or group?
One-on-one.
And you said in person?
In person, consumers. Less than $70 on average, raise your hand. 1 hour. Less than $100 average, raise your hand.
Like maybe.
Less than 150?
Yeah.
More than 150? Oh, I know.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So.
But we're used to restrictions, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this like face-to-face or like through video conferencing?
Face-to-face.
Yeah. So one of the ways that we have sweetened the deal a little bit when we do government studies is to, if it's a younger audience, offer dinner, pizza parties, you know, anything that we can do to get them in the door. But we recognize that you guys are so restricted, and so we try to think creatively about what would be attractive to this person. So you're getting a box lunch plus your incentive, or, you know, maybe we can do the early bird drawing. You know, there are ways to kind of get a little more excitement, even if you're not bringing the largest amount of money to the table.
We've had to do projects for the federal government where we had to give them $200 for parking.
Yeah, there you go.
Just to follow up, my firm, we do a lot of government work, but we're very local. We work with government agencies and nonprofits just basically in Colorado, mostly Denver. So what we've done recently, we had a college savings. They're like part of the state government, and so they could not give out incentives by legal reasons. So what they did is they offered to open up respondents a college savings account and put the money directly into an account for their kids. And so it's just, we like to have conversations with clients to get people excited. And it can be something like, oh, you know, every quarter you can get a free pass to a museum or something like that, and really leveraging community connections. Maybe federal that might not work, but definitely on the local level we've had great success.
I'll just say too, sometimes we offer donations to their favorite charities or something like that, especially if they're professionals who don't need the money, but you know, just want to do good in the community sometimes. Any other questions? We're about 1 minute.
We have Paula, we have one more.
That's actually a great fix for a problem that I had with, you know, the friends of friends.
Yep.
Because they were somewhat embarrassed about taking money because they knew who was my friend. And so I think that would be a great solution as well. You know, make a donation to your favorite charity.
Yeah. Great. All right. Well, it was great speaking with you all. Thank you.
Oh, and I wanted to